Hey everyone, I just went to Comic Con today, and I have some pretty cool shit to show you all. Enjoy.
Loud.
Can you hear me back there?
Yep.
Cheers. So, Max tells me, that's Max, he's the guy who tells me where to go and what to do.
That's a lie. I get a phone call from my wife every 10 minutes and she tells me.
He also mumbles, I couldn't understand the words. He said I had to come here for a meet and greet. So I figured 2 or 3 people say hello to him. All of a sudden we have a crowd. And I'm standing here not knowing what to do. So you're going to help me. You're going to tell me what to do. But I think the first thing is to answer. Am I right, Max? Is the first thing to answer questions? Get your chairs. Now, if they don't have any questions, you see a grown man dying in front. We're going to have a signing. What am I going to sign?
Body parts.
Then we're going to have some photos, and then your ordeal will be over, and you can go and do what you want, but I'm still stuck at the convention. And that's it. So I am ready for the first question.
All right.
Right there.
I just want to know.
No, you gotta understand, I don't hear as well as I used to. You gotta talk even louder than I do. Go ahead.
How did you, what was the first thing that made you want to do what you have done as far as give us these amazing superheroes that I'm an amazing fan of?
What made me want to do what I'm doing that you're an amazing fan of,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I would have liked it better if you started with I'm an amazing fan. That's the one I like best. And as far as what made me do what I do, and I assume you mean working in the comic business for so many years, I guess my motivation was greed. I wanted to make a living. And it was a job I got. I never thought I'd get into the comic book business. I answered an ad. There was an assistant wanted in a publishing house. And they published all kind of magazines, so-called men's magazines, movie magazines.
I know all
that
this
type of thing.
stuff.
And they also had some comic books, mainly Captain America, which had just started by Joe Simon and Jack Kirby. So I went up to apply for this assistant's job. I was about 17 and a half years old. And they threw me in with Simon and Kirby, and they said, you're going to assist them. I had never been up to a comic book company before. I had read Captain America. It had just started, and I thought it was real good. So my job was not a very impressive one. In those days, the artists dipped their pen in inkwells in ink, and one of my jobs was to make sure that I spilled in enough ink every morning. I would go down and buy them lunch at the drugstore, and I would erase the pages when they were finished working on the pages. But it paid me a little salary, and things were tough in those days. And then they left. Joe and Jack left for some reason. And it had been a very small department. It was just Jack, Joe, and me. So the publisher, whose name was Martin said to me, do you think you could act as, well, they were the editor, the art director, and they were the writers. He said, could you be the writer, editor, and art director until I find a real adult? He was desperate because I was the only guy there. I said, well, I'll try. And apparently he forgot about it. He never found anybody else, but I was stuck with that job ever since. And, you know, when you're 17 and a half, what do you know? I said, I can do it, sure. So I had to do it. And I was lucky. We had the greatest artists working. I was able to hire some terrific artists. And then later, Kirby came back. And then we had Kirby and Ditko and John Buscema, John Romita, and Gene Colan, and Gil Kane. And I felt I could conquer the world. And Marvel did. Now that's probably the longest answer you've ever gotten. Yes, sir.
Stan, which comic book or figure do you think put you over the top, that made you a rich man?
Which comic book or figure put me over the top, put us over the top? Yes. I would think Spider-Man probably was the big one, you know? The Fantastic Four did very well, and the X-Men did well, and the Hulk did well in the beginning, but when Spider-Man came out, it sold so well. That was the one that all over the world people started knowing about Spider-Man. Yes, sir.
What is your favorite plot line and your most hated plot that you did?
My favorite plot line? Gosh, there's so many of them. Maybe the thing that college kids refer to as the Galactic Trilogy, with the one about Galactus coming to Earth and the Fantastic Four with the Silver Surfer. I really like that plot line. And I do have one I didn't like, and I can't tell you what it is because I don't know what it was. But we had to turn out a book very quickly for, I think it was the Fantastic Four. And you know, we had publishing dates. The book had to go to a printer at a certain date. And if it didn't get there at that date, if we didn't have the artwork finished, our publisher, Martin, would have had to pay for the printing anyway, because that time had been reserved at the printing press. So all of a sudden we found that the Fantastic Four, it had only like 2 weeks to get to the printer, and it usually takes a month to do a book. So I had to think of something fast. I came up with a villain called Diablo. I thought that was a great villain's name. And I said to Jack, let's get a villain called Diablo and we'll do this. I don't remember what I said he should do. And Jack drew something, and that was the book. We sent it to the printer, and I realized it wasn't a good story, and I can't even remember now what the story was. That's how bad it probably was. And I've never seen the book since. I never went back and found that story. I didn't really want to. So I can't say it's the one story I don't like, because I don't know what the story is. But if I read it, I know I don't like it. So there you go. Back there. Yeah, last guy. Right back there.
All right. Do you feel that Marvel Comics was the cause for the comic book?
Wait, can't hear.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Do you feel that Marvel Comics was the cause for the comic book industry being saved after the Red Scare era?
After what?
Do you feel that Marvel saved the comic book industry after the Red Scare?
I missed the last two words.
After
the what?
Red Scare.
The Red Scare. No, I don't think Marvel saved the comic industry after the Red. I'm not even sure what we had to do with the Red Scare. Well, I think Marvel, of course, is the greatest company. I think it saved the whole world. But no, the Red Scare, we've had so many scares. The Red Scare was one of them. There was a time when every time we needed a villain and couldn't think of something, we made him a communist. It made it very easy. I don't think Marvel really saved the world, to be honest with you. I wish Marvel could have done more. The one thing that we did, we got a lot of readers, a lot of fans, and the thing I'm proudest of, we're known all over the world. Our books sell in every country, and they do pretty well. And the competition was good too. You know, I make fun of them very often, but the guys at DC were equally talented. They used to work. Some of them would come to work for us. Sometimes our guys would work for DC. The guy at the time I was there, who was the editor of DC, a fellow named Carmine Infantino, he and I were friends. To the public, we acted as if we were deadly enemies. But we used every couple of weeks we'd meet and have drinks together and get around and bring some of the people from the staff. It was all, the people in the comic book industry are very friendly with each other. And, but I wouldn't say we've been saving the world. I wish we could. Yes, sir.
You go as like a philosopher. Who inspired you to be a philosopher? Mom, your dad,
Say that again.
your philosophies.
My philosophy?
Yeah, like your philosophies. Who inspired you to be it? Mom, your dad,
I don't know. I'm not even sure I know what my philosophy is. Well, my mom and dad obviously must have had an influence on me. But they never, they weren't the kind of people who discussed philosophy. It was usually how do we get money to pay the rent. I guess maybe the books I read mostly, and I can't tell you which ones influenced me because I read everything. So I read the Hardy Boys, over here.
In the future, I'm hoping to work for Marvel. I do like to write my own storylines. I have a prototype right here. So, what advice would you give me?
What is what?
What advice would you give me?
What is right for the business?
What advice would you give him?
What advice would I give you to work for Marvel?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it would be any difference than working for any company. See, I'm not really at those shows, and they all want to work for Marvel. Because what has happened is, it wasn't this way years ago, but now, if a comic book does very well, there's always the chance it'll turn into a movie. And the guy who wrote the comic book may get a chance to write the movie and so forth. So that's why some of the top writers want to work at Marvel or at any comic book company. And artists want to work for comic book companies because their artwork now, they get it back. After the book is printed, they get their artwork back. And as you walk along across a comic book floor, you see how much original artwork goes for. So all that I'm trying to tell you is, in order to work for Marvel, you've got to, or for any comic book company, you've got to make sure you are a really good writer. Not a good amateur. They don't have time for that. You've got to be able to write a story as good as the ones that they're already buying. Well, they don't need you. Actually, you've got to write better stuff, or they'll just keep the people they have. And if you say to me, well, how do I know if my stuff is as good or bad? I don't know how to answer that. You yourself have to be the judge. And if you're good enough to work for the company, you've got to be good enough to be able to judge whether your work is as good as theirs or not. You know? Right. No, way back there. Yep.
Okay. Well, I wrote a whole thing of
You asked one.
Yeah, can
I thought another hand. You? I'm sorry, we'll get you later.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
Okay. Did you go have you gotten out into the real world already, or you're still waiting to get out.
Have I gotten out into the real world yet, or am I still waiting to get out? Well, I figure this is about as close to the real world as I'm ever gonna get.
All right.
No, I'm in the real world, I think. I don't know. I don't even know what that means. I go out to restaurants with my wife. I go to conventions. I work at an office. Yeah, I think I'm in the real world. I think I finally made the real world. Okay.
What if I
Yes.
ask?
Is there anything that, starting out, when you started out, that you wish you would have known then that you do know
Oh,
now?
yeah. When I started out, is there anything I wish I would have known then? I wish I would have known that it's possible to own the characters you create. That would have been nice. You know, it's funny, I get so much mail congratulating me on the fact that the Avengers will make more than $1 billion. And a lot of people think I'm getting the $1 billion. But yeah, that's the one thing. For instance, Bob Kane, who created Batman, he was smart enough, he said to DC Comics, which was then called National Comics, he said, I got this character Batman, I'll do it for you, but I want to own it. And they let him own it, and he made a lot of money on Batman. Very few people in the there was one other, Will Eisner, if you know of him. He did a strip called The Spirit, which was in the newspapers years ago, and he owned The Spirit. So whatever money that made, he got a good share of that. We never thought of that at Marvel, or at most of the places at the other companies. It never occurred to us that you even could own these characters. All you knew was you worked for a publisher, he paid you, and he paid you per page. Whatever pages you wrote, you got paid for. And that was it. We thought we were lucky as hell. We had a paying job, and we were able to pay our rent. So that is one thing I wish I had known. Anything else? Back there, way in the back.
Being that you are the Stan Lee,
Can't hear you.
I'm sorry. Being that you are, Stan Lee, what do you feel as though, or what did you want it to be? What did you want to be your biggest impact for your readers?
What did I want?
Well, like, what did you want to? What do you want to leave? As like, what are you most proud of?
Oh, what am I most proud of? What do I want to leave with the readers? I don't think of that I'll be honest with you. I don't want you to think I don't care about you. But I don't spend any time thinking what I'm going to leave for you guys. I just hope that the work I do will meet with favor. If I do a TV show, or I'm working on a movie, or if I'm writing something to be printed, I hope people will like it. But I'm not a guy who, maybe some people are like that, but I don't think, what'll I be remembered for 100 years from now? I don't care. I won't be here. Who cares? I can't understand these people who worry about stuff like that. I'd like to feel while I'm here now, people might enjoy what I'm doing, or it might be successful. That's it. So I don't think of what I'm leaving for my readers. I think of what I'm doing for myself. I hope I'm doing well, and I'll get paid for it, and I'll get invited to a Comic-Con and have a meet and greet. That's kind of fun when I can hear what you say. Anybody who hasn't asked a question?
Right here.
Yeah.
You've done a lot of incredible things, and
I've done a lot of terrible things.
incredible things, and I was just curious if there was any particular character or story that you didn't think of that you really wish you had.
Oh, I'm sure there are a lot of them. Every time I read a story I didn't write, I wish I had written it. Yeah, I wish I had thought of some of the Dark Knight stories for Batman. I can't think of any Superman stories that I wish I had written. There was a company years ago called Crime Does Not Pay, publisher called Lev Gleason. They didn't last very long, but they did great stories. I used to read them, and I wish I had written some of those. There's a guy named Harvey Kurtzman who did a book called Frontline Combat. He also founded Mad magazine, but he was good at every type of thing. He worked for me for a while. He was a genius. I'm not a genius. Harvey was a genius. And I wish I could have written and drawn some of the things as he did. I don't spend much time, wishing I had done other things. I'm usually too busy worrying about what I'm going to do. Yes, sir.
I'm a special education teacher.
Oh, what?
Special education teacher with autism. And I've always loved Daredevil. So first of all, I wanted to thank you for creating a character like that is empowering to have a disability that's about so big. But I was wondering if when he was originally created, what the reaction to him was.
Interesting question. When Daredevil was originally created, my first thought was, I want to do something, a hero who's got a disability. And I thought deafness was a good one because most people are told when you lose your hearing, your other senses become a little bit sharper. And I thought I could have fun with that. But then I worried. I said, I'm going to make Daredevil a superhero with superpower, but he's deaf. Would deaf people resent that? Because obviously deaf people don't have superpowers. And would it seem like I'm being too ridiculous? Anyway, I did Daredevil, and we got more mail from deaf people and from organizations that cater to deaf people congratulating us on the Daredevil and saying how much they enjoyed him and how good it was for the morale of deaf people. I couldn't believe it. I was thrilled. And I always loved the character Daredevil. I must admit I was disappointed in the movie. I think they should have done it differently. And I hope they make another Daredevil movie and do it the right way because he's a great character. And there you go. Right here. See, I chose him because he's easy to walk through. I don't have to go that obstacle course there.
You've been cameoed in like every single Marvel movie, like the Avengers, Spider-Man, Thor, like.
I missed 2 of them because I was out of town when they did them, and I'm ashamed of that.
Can you describe that experience? It's like, can you describe that experience, like being on set with all that?
Oh, can I describe the experience of being on set with all of that, whatever that is, when I do my cameos, right?
Is that fun for you?
Is it fun? Man, you can't have more fun than that. It's very funny. I'm given a cameo, which is usually one line to say, something of the sort. And when I come on the set, they have a big trailer for me. You know, the trailers and big wagons that the stars are in. They're air conditioned. They have kitchens and bathrooms and clothing. Here's your trailer, Mr. Lee. And I said, I have one line to say. Here's your trailer. And then I'm sitting in the trailer wondering what's going to happen next, and somebody will come in and say, we're ready for we're ready for makeup. What do you mean makeup? And I have to go to another wagon where there are 3 or 4 makeup people with barber chairs, and all the stars go in there and get their hair done and everything. And I'm sitting there with the stars of the movie, and I'm going to be there for 1 second, and nobody cares what I look like. But anyway, they go over my hair and they powder my face. Then they say, we're ready for wardrobe. And I don't even know, I never know what I'm going to do. They never tell me what my cameo is. So they say, we're ready for wardrobe. So I go in and somebody gives me some clothes to wear. And I always say, like, we'll give you a pair of dungarees, let's say, and sneakers and a certain shirt. And I always say to them, why are you bothering dressing me? I've got these clothes at home. You only had to tell me what I'd wear, I'd bring it. No, you've got to wear our clothes with you. So I put on the clothes, and then at some point they say, we're ready for you now. So I come on the set, and the director tells me what I'm supposed to say and do. I don't really have to study the script, because considering I have one line, maybe eight words, it's not hard to remember. And I do it, and then I go back to my trailer, put on my own clothes, and I go home. And that's the whole episode. And of course, the amazing thing is, that's the only reason people to go to see the movie. Wait, you think I'm joking? I'll tell you a funny thing. Of course I'm joking, but I think this is funny. The reason the Avengers make so much money is because of my commercial. My commercial, my cameo is very brief. And if you close your eyes or you take a deep breath or something, you might miss it. So what happened was, half of the people who went to the movie missed the cameo. And naturally they said, we gotta buy another ticket to see it so we can see the cameo. That's why the Marvel movies make money. Why they keep my cameos so short. I'm convinced of it. Over there, I'm sorry, it's not that I'm mad at you, but he hasn't answered the question yet.
With being the owner of Power Entertainment, what's next for us as fans of yours to view?
Power Entertainment?
Right.
Oh, that's my little company. We're doing a lot of things. We have a movie in the works now starring a Chinese hero, which is, I think, going to be a big movie. It's being made in China and in America. There's never been a real serious Chinese superhero type of guy. And there has been? Oh, no. And it's made not just for China, I mean, it's for all around the world. So that's one movie we're doing. We're doing another movie with Lionsgate Films about a husband and wife who have superpowers. We have a television series we're developing about a Canadian hero. We're creating a hero for a company in India, a superhero, that'll be out soon. We have a live action show like the Cirque du Soleil that's going to open up in Macau, in Asia, in a big theater, where the audience is part of the show itself. It's going to be interesting. And a lot of other little projects. We try to keep busy. And I don't do all of this stuff. I mean, I may come up with the original idea, but then I give it to writers and other people who follow through. We even have a little thing we're going to do in Las Vegas called Stripperella, about a girl who's an exotic dancer by night and a superheroine later on at night. That's what we do. And POW, of course, the name of my company, POW, of course, stands for Purveyors of Wonder. I'm sure you won't guess that. Any other questions? Way back there, yeah.
Where did the concept for the X-Men come from?
I'm sorry, say it again?
Where did you, how did you come up with the concept for the X-Men?
Oh, the concept of the X-Men, that's kind of funny. My whole life, everything is kind of funny. We had already done a few superheroes, and we were on a roll, I thought. So my publisher, Martin, said, dream up another one for me. So I had run out of ideas of how, you see, the biggest problem with creating a superhero is how did he get his power, or her power? I had already had the Fantastic Four, who got their power from cosmic rays. And the whole thing is ridiculous. I know less about cosmic rays than anybody. I had read the expression somewhere, there's such a thing as a cosmic ray. So I had them bombarded by cosmic rays. Then the Hulk became the Hulk because of gamma rays. I know less about gamma rays than I know about cosmic rays. I said he knows of gamma ray explosion and the gamma rays. Anyway, and Spider-Man, well, what could be more natural than you bitten by a radioactive? So I had run out of spiders and rays. I couldn't think of any more rays, and I had to get a new bunch of superheroes. So I figured I took the cowardly way out. I said, I'll let them be born that way. They're mutants. I don't have to explain anything. I don't need rage. And that's how I did the X-Men. I said, I'll get a bunch of guys who were born with superpowers. And I don't have to knock myself out thinking of reasons how they got them. And then it occurred to me, it would be fun if I show them as teenagers and they go to a school where they learn how to use their superpowers. And I'll get the guy who runs the school, and I decided to call him Xavier. I'm not sure why, but I came up with that name. And I'll give him a superpower, a mental power. And I'll put him in a wheelchair. I never like our characters to have everything. So I figured he's got all this mental power, but he's physically handicapped. thought that was a good twist. And then I loved Magneto. Get a villain who has the power of magnetism, and he's really not a bad guy because the way he feels is justified. He started out as a good guy, but people hated mutants and were persecuting them. So he feels you should fight back. But Professor Xavier feels, no, go along with the people and reason with them. And I began to see it as a parallel and a corollary to life itself in the real world, where most people don't like people who are different, and you have all these problems. And before I knew it, I'm writing something that's like War and Peace.
Magneto equals Malcolm
I love the
X.
X-Men, and I forgot
Magneto
totally
equals
what your
Malcolm
question
X.
was.
Still
Anybody who hasn't asked one wants to ask one. Yes, sir.
What character or series did you have the most fun being a part of?
What character did I have? Cameo, you mean?
No, a comic book character or series did you have the most fun being a part of?
Being a part of? What do you mean? You mean writing it?
Writing it, or just overseeing it, or preparing it? Anyone that was.
I can't answer that. For those who didn't hear, what character or series that I have the most fun being a part of? I got fun with all of them. I loved every one.
This is great.
I got fun. I had fun writing Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos, and the Silver Surfer, and Iron Man. Oh man, Iron Man was a kick. I loved writing that. Daredevil I mentioned, the Hulk, and I'm sure I'm missing a few. The Avengers. I liked writing the Avengers. I had all those characters. I didn't know what to do with them. I do put them together. I didn't know one day it would be the biggest selling thing. I have a feeling I'm talking too long. That's what usually happens.
We're going to do some autographs and some photographs.
Oh, really?
If it's okay with you, sir.
What if I say no?
Then I will leave and hide and never come out again.
I'll do the autographs and photographs. If you went to the trouble to wear that red vest, and I've been working it.
All right, so let's, we're just going to form a polite little line, no pushing, no shoving.
We are reaching the end of Comic-Con. I apologize for the lack of pictures. I got this. I think it's going to be worth a lot of money someday. A whole freaking bus here. And the Batmobile. And I'm just gonna record a few things. Original tank for what the fuck? So much Image did too, I have no idea about That's stupid too.
I saw you and then we were like,
That's the damage. Impressive remake model, I think. That's some toys. What's your name?
Yehudi Mercado.
Alright, and this is your own series?
Yeah.
Alright, if like a big publisher like Marvel or DC or Image came in and said, hey, we like your work, we'd like you to publish it, what would you say to it?
I'd probably say no to them, but I would say yes to like Oni or Image, yeah.
Because DC and Marvel are mainly the superhero ones?
Yeah, it's more of a comedy, so.
Yeah.
It's about pizza delivery drivers.
Hopefully they got some vegetarian options.
Yeah. And all 3 volumes takes place on one day.
Impressive.
On the busiest pizza day ever.
Very impressive and interesting.
Thanks.
So busy you gotta split it up into 3 books. Unfortunately, I don't have enough money to buy any of these, but I like to promote stuff. So
you go to turbopizza.com. You can look for it.
Alright. Could you say that again?
Go to turbopizza.com. You can watch the trailer and see some sample pages.
Alright. Thanks for your time. Yep. Where can I get these robes from?
Okay. Huh?
Where can I get these robes from?
The robes are from SilentOnline.com. We do a lot of other things, including t-shirts, hats. We are really big at all the different cons. If you go to SilentOnline.com, you'll be able to see our full line of products that we offer.
Alright, thanks.
Hey, I hope you were able to sit through this whole damn thing. If you were, thanks, and next year will be even better, and I will have a special update video. Link will be here.